So in exploring board games, we talk about the narrative, right? You're sitting down, rolling some dice, flipping some cards, trying to immerse yourself in the game for that period of time, 90 minutes. It says I can play Dark Souls in 90 minutes. There's no way that's happening. It's like 3 hours. Whatever that time is going to be, it's well spent. So in a previous board game vlog that I pushed up, we talked about like improving the components of your game or improving that experience. What are some of the things that you can do? And I wanted to kind of focus on this for Talisman because it's a game that I regularly play. I love the game. I probably, if I check, have easily equal or more play history with this game than I do Runebound. And I've been obsessed with Runebound forever. I regularly play a big game, competitive game with some friends. It's also a game that I'll regularly bring to play pickup games, just set up the sideboard, set up everything, and let's play some Talisman. So I've invested a couple of different things over the years to help bring that experience and make it the best that I can. So we're talking Talisman specific, but this could be kind of a placeholder or a template for other board games that have a mix of dice and cards and tokens and miniatures. So the first is a player dashboard. We've got a character card in Talisman. We've got a bunch of little cones and tokens that represent life, craft, and strength. As we go through the adventure, we have cards for magic objects, for followers, for spells, cards everywhere. It's nice to have a little board to hold those, to track those, and to keep them up. And some cards are visible for other players to see, but some cards also need to be hidden. So being able to have all that and organize it, especially as you play through the turns, in addition to your character card, you could have like 8, 10, or 15 other cards. A player dashboard, I think, is really nice and works really, really well. This was a 3D printed one, kind of a generic dashboard that my friend adapted, and we've had it for a number of years. But before that, 3D printed, it was just some black foam core that I cut out with an X-Acto knife and just kind of made those dashboards. So some way to organize it. Now, in terms of components, the components from the game are pretty good. You've got actual for coins. Gold is everywhere in Talisman. I'm visiting the hills. Draw an adventure card. 2 bags of gold. I visit the ruins. Draw an adventure card. 2 bags of gold. Like gold for everyone. It's everywhere. The coins are, they're interesting. They're plastic. They've got some okay details for it. But they sound like metal. They don't feel like metal, but they make that little like sound with it. So those coins, they're great. I don't need to upgrade the coins. The life and craft and strength trackers, you could use a slider thing, but I've got more than enough cones, and they're the stock ones work really well. You stack them up. You can keep them side by side, whatever you want. That's okay. Now, the miniatures. The miniatures are interesting because I don't have them painted. You're like, well, Fritz, you painted up Zombicide. You finally painted up Conan. You painted up AVP. I mean, these games that you regularly play, how could this be if you're playing it so often? Well, I haven't painted them up because when we play, all expansions in play, all characters in play. You draw a character from the character deck, like it's stacked. We got like I don't even know how many characters, 80 characters. And I'm playing Talisman every week, nonstop, or every month, nonstop. So I haven't had the time to paint all those characters, and since we're playing with all the characters, it's not like I can just do the base ones. That would go a long way. If I got those characters painted, that would go a long way. So certainly painting them. Now, if I'm not playing with all the expansions, which is pretty rare, I want to have everything all in, being a completionist with poor impulse control for board games. There are times where we will just play the core game, either because I don't have the time, right? I don't have the space. I won't say Talisman's a pickup game or a filler game, but I sometimes will just bring the core. So this way, if it's a gaming event and we finish early or we've got some time, it's like, look, we've only got an hour and a half. How about some Talisman? Like, I'm ready to play. I have the Black Library edition. That was before Fantasy Flight took over the first printing, and before they had the current printing. The Black Library was Games Workshop's reissue of it. The cards are a little bit smaller. The components are very, very similar, but the characters are not plastic. They're full color standees, and they're really big. They really sit on the board. That's kind of neat. I think in many ways they work better than miniatures because they're so big with where they sit on the board. It's very easy to see where everyone is, and they're very colorful, and they match the character card. I would love to see, if I had the talent, standee printed characters. I think those would be very interesting. Like somehow if you lifted the characters off the character card and printed them out into standees oversized, that I could see working better than miniatures. But I would say probably I should paint my miniatures up first. Now, two other kind of interesting things. The Portal of Power and the Stairway to the Crown of Command. Those are two iconic things in the game. The Sentinel also. I have a 3D printed Portal of Power painted, and I've got 3D printed spiral stairs all the way up with a little crown, literally a plastic painted crown. I have no idea where I got this crown years ago. Someone's like, "Hey Fritz, I know you play that game with the toads and like, I don't know, the fantasy realm, and there's a crown on the board. Here you go. I found this somewhere." So we have those 3D printed things which kind of add to the game and make it a little interesting. I years ago, it's probably still up on YouTube, some enthusiast made a 3D talisman board, and it was pretty cool. I would love to play on something like that. So I won't say go like full 3D print like Hero Quest, but there could be some little interesting pieces that print from it. What we also have, and this is for the group of players we play every couple of months, and it's pretty regular. We have a 3D printed talisman piece, and we have a 3D printed toad from the game. And of course, we're very competitive players with it, and I want to win, but I don't want to lose bad. I mean, I know talisman's kind of binary in that you either win and everyone loses, but I don't want to like rank last and just get slapped around for the whole time, because then I got to hear about it like for a month from my friends, like, oh, this and that. So what we have is the player that has been turned into the toad the most. We keep track of that. They get this little toad figurine, and they have to keep it on their gaming table or their paint station, because we're also all wargamers. They got to keep it there, and they get to look at it for like a month, 2 months. Then you get to bring it back, and it goes back into the pot. Likewise, if you win the game, because we play base Crown of Command, you get this 3D printed talisman that we have painted up. And both of these were painted by a really good friend that is just like fantastic painter, Golden Demon winner. They look amazing. You get to have that, and you get to look at that victory, and you get to kind of have that piece, and then you get to bring that back. Two, not really board game upgrades, but what we also do is I have a little logbook that we keep track of the play and who won for that. I've got that, and that's in with the main box. And something else I do with all of my kind of public-facing board games, not just with Talisman, but Talisman has the most on it. I have some games that are in my collection that I just play. I have some games in my collection that I will play with friends, and I do my best. I'm not like, let's sleeve everything and let's like plastic coat everything. Some games warrant sleeving, some don't. But then I have some games like Talisman, or I should say a copy of Talisman, got like multiple copies, or games like Zombicide, Black Plague that I love. These are games that I regularly bring with me. Runebound also, Hero Quest, I regularly bring with me every week to the club, either to play or like if there's a bunch of people, let's try it out. I've got a lot of hours logged on it, and just the wear and tear on it from natural play has been like really, really accelerated a lot. But that's okay. That's what it's there for. Those games that are public facing, that are like club games that I regularly bring, if you play the game, whether you win or lose, sign the box. Sign the inside of the box. Sign the side of the box. Like if you've sat down to roll some dice with me for a little while, and depending on the game, create that story, create that narrative, for 1, 2, or 3 hours, that's time well spent. Sign the box. Sign your name. You only get to sign it once, but it's been interesting to see who signed that box over the years. And I can remember some games from those signatures and how we play it. So that's kind of like a side note that it's a lot of fun and part of building that history. But going back to that original question, frameworking, doing this board gaming thing, what are some of those upgrades that you can do to elevate the game? And in terms of Talisman, those are my upgrades. So turning it over to my fellow Talisman enthusiasts, you've got your copy. What are some of those upgrades, or what are some of those things that you've done to maybe elevate the game, organize the game, make it easier to play? It's a lot of expansions. It's a lot of cards. It's a lot of tokens. It's a lot of different areas, whether it's the city, whether it's the dungeon. How do you navigate that as a player?